opportunity and to interact with you all on this energy conservation and management, especially on the industry. Am I audible, sir?
Sir, very much.
Yes, you are audible.
Sir, am I audible?
Yeah, please proceed, sir. Everything is fine.
Okay. Next, sir. Next slide, sir. Why this necessity for the energy management comes to the industry? Because there are a number of aspects, especially in the company operation, where we find the energy cost is affecting the company's profitability. That is we call it as OPM, operating profit margin is getting, and it is affecting the market competitiveness as well. And the local and global environment wise, the energy costing is mattering to the company as well as to the industry segment as such. So considering all these aspects, the problem with this is the waste disposal reduction also is a problem, as well as the breakdown of the loss prevention. So considering all these aspects, if we are able to optimize the energy consumption for the given process and the utility for the given industry, we can definitely make the industry very healthy. The energy conservation is needed for the industry to make the industry healthy. At the same time, make the OPM, operating profit margin, a better shape. And the byproduct of this energy conservation is the productivity improvement as well as the quality improvement in the product as well. We are able.
Sir, voice has some issue, sir. Audio lost somewhere. Seturaman, sir.
Hello.
Audio.
Yes, sir.
Is very weak actually. Lost. Faint it is. Please proceed.
Okay. I will switch over the
camera. Hello.
am I audible now, sir?
Yeah. Now it's okay. Fine.
Okay.
Please proceed.
Can you please go to the next slide, sir? Yeah. We are concentrating more on the energy flow in the industry. We call it as a Sankey diagram, and we are concentrating more on the energy flow to the industry. 1 second. The energy intake by the industry, Bureau of Energy has given the guidelines. But if we see in the energy flow in of the industry, we can see the what is the cup to lip loss in the industry, especially on the voltage drops on the electrical network. And if it is a three-phase load, the voltage unbalance or the current unbalance, which is causing the problems with all the loads, three-phase motor loads. And next comes the power factor, which when it is improved at the motor end, especially on the linear, where the motors are operated without VFD. Then comes the no load loss in the given transformer. Some of the transformers report less than 2%, and high, say 1000 kVA and above transformers, they report almost less than 1%. In many of the industries where the transformer sizes are less, around 500 kVA or 250 kVA, the losses are more than 3%, 4%. This HT to LT loss is definitely to be monitored by going by the condition monitoring approach. Coming to the machines, we need to have any type of machine, whether it is a motor or a pump or a blower or compressor. What is the tare load consumption for the given machine without loading, and with loading what is the consumption? This will be kept on record. This will automatically will give us an input where we are maintaining the parameters, optimizing the parameters. Instead of having a open shaft KVR, if the machine or the motor is loaded with the pulley, if the KVR is monitored, there we can definitely have the inputs of the KVR, that is the no load KVR for the given system. Then the TSD amps, that is
Sir,
the
the slide has to move, sir.
yeah.
Two slides have to move. It's showing the old slide only.
Um,
The moderator should change slides.
No, sir. This is the current slide description.
But I am seeing some different slides, sir.
It is the energy intake by industry slide, na, sir?
exactly.
Yes. Okay.
This
Sorry.
you observe, na, sir?
Okay,
This
sorry.
is what cup and lip
This is
and
correct
yeah.
slide. Perfectly okay.
Yeah.
It is correct slide.
Okay. You can go to the next slide, please. So, the energy flow of the given utilities and the production. This will show where we are losing, the what are the types of the pressure drop, especially in the process, or if it is a voltage drop in the electrical side. All these things can be monitored end to end. We call it as the end to end energy loss. It is the symptom of measurement. This should show in our energy auditing measurements where we are losing in the energy, especially on the process flow to the equipments and to the machines. So the electricity bill ultimately will give you the best operating practices in the utilities if the utilities are monitored at their endpoint. We can see where all the Bureau of Energy Efficiency says only one point. Any motor above 10 HP operating for 2 shifts, let us say 6,000 hours in a year, definitely needs a monitoring, and you provide the basic minimum KWH meter, which is just costing only 2,000 rupees. It has to be installed on all the motors, on all the machines above 10 HP. This will give the relative condition monitoring for the given motor or given for the batch of machines. This will know where the which machine is running more, which machine is consuming more for the same given production, and accordingly we can take the step. The energy conservation is done in 2 steps. Whether the given machine is taking more consumption for the given output, or for the given batch of machines, let us say 5 machines are there, each machine is consuming what is the electricity consumption and what is the output. See, this is the way of comparison. One is relative comparison, and the machine wise what is the nameplate says and what we are deviating from the process is deviating from the machine spec or the product spec, where we are deviating, and that deviation, the theory and practice will be matched, especially in the energy auditing processes. One is the energy study, one is the preliminary study, and after all the readings are taken, then we will go for the post operative study. So ultimately the safety measures in handling the electrical utility, this is more important, especially in the case of energy conservation. When a machine is not safe in operation, definitely the energy conservation is not possible. When the machine is totally underloaded or the machine is totally overloaded, then energy conservation is not possible. Ultimately, the operator or the production person has to optimize the loading pattern for the given machine. Then only we can think of energy conservation. Next, please. In this energy conservation can happen from each and every department, from the production department, from the maintenance, from the electrical, from the mechanical, and from the quality as well. In the maintenance, before we had a total, any system is there, if it is a breakdown, it is attended. It is called failure based maintenance. It is a too late, the step taken towards the maintenance is too late. That is called reactive maintenance. Whereas now the industries, thanks to the IoT inputs as well as the energy monitoring systems happening throughout the world and happening in India, we find the proactive energy monitoring or the proactive mission monitoring, especially on the preventive side and the predictive side. This is what we are trying to concentrate in this session as such. The energy conservation is possible not only by the actual measurements from the machine, also by the predictive measurements from the machine. What are all the symptoms that is available, what is healthy, what is not healthy. This is definitely can be monitored, and we can definitely have a control on the condition based monitoring approach for the given machine as well as the process. Next, please. I will suggest you to go through this slide. It is a very informative slide which says what is the, see, the energy auditor, you will be all thinking what we do for a week or study in the industry. It is that we are trying to make the, what is the design for the machine or for the process, what is the practice. So the original design to the installation, what is the difference? What is the gap? See, I am just going into the root cause analysis of energy auditing or energy conservation, why that is possible for a given process or for the given industry. One is on the design aspects. The other one is from the design to installation itself. Many of the industries, see, I am giving all the practical inputs that is happening in the industries. From the design to installation itself, lot of variations are there, lot of gaps are there. Let us assume that is okay. And once that is installed, you can see if the machines are, or if the utility machine or the production machine is maintained perfectly by precision maintenance. That is, as I said, it's a reactive not maintenance. It is not a reactive maintenance. It will be a proactive maintenance where we'll do not only by all the energy monitoring gadgets, but also we will go for laser alignment checks, thermal growth and pipe strain and precision measurements monitoring. This can be done from the installation to the point of first where the problem comes to the given process or to the industry, where the deviation is happening. This is where this condition based monitoring is applied to the industry. It can be done from the inside the industry or it can be outsourced to the energy auditor. We, the energy auditors, we also go to the industry not only with all these energy monitoring gadgets, but we also go with predictive monitoring gadgets based on infrared thermal as well as the ultrasonic measurements on the process flow as well as on the sonic leak image also. Both the aspects we are seeing it. So once we take this predictive maintenance, that will give an indication from the point of first failure to the failure of the equipment. Definitely the predictive maintenance will overtake the preventive maintenance and it will not allow the machine or the process to go down because of breakdown. This is where our energy auditing, it is not a touch and go subject or touch and go work in the industry. Once you go to the industry for a given week, it does not mean the job is over. Before we go to the industry, we collect so many inputs from the industry, the preliminary inputs from the industry. What is the process specification, what is the equipment specification for the production machines as well as for the utility, and then only we measure the deviations what is there from the nameplate to the existing. Next please. Next please. Yeah, in this measurements what we find is energy conservation, that is at the bottom of the pyramid, and that is where we are going to work on that first and foremost. Then only we think of the energy efficiency, then only think of it is all parallelly thinking only. See, the first aspect is the energy conservation, where all what all it can be done for the given output of the product or the process or the utility, what how much the input can be reduced on the existing system within the premises. Then only we go for energy efficiency, where we go for the replacement of the wetted parts of the system or wetted parts of the machines or wetted parts in the equipment. Then comes total replacement of the equipment. This renewable energy is definitely, because thanks to the coal burden what we face in India and the quality of coal, almost 40% of the coal is having the moisture, and this one ash, this ash and this the combustion, the efficiency of the given coal, of especially of the Indian coal, is good so much that we are going for Indonesia or for South Africa now. So in parallel, the renewable energy also has to be there in the industry, but the bottom of the pyramid we are concentrating only on the energy conservation. Next please. In this, you take any process or take any equipment in the utility, especially the motor or pump or blower or compressor, by measurements in the energy audit, what we see whether we can increase the productivity of the machine or reduce the energy consumption of the machine. Here, for the given energy input, what is the wasted output, that has to be corrected. But any equipment you take, utility, you can take, it's a transformer or a pump or a motor, definitely the avoidable losses are more than the unavoidable losses. A motor means is there with the no load power consumption is definitely there, but we cannot reduce the no load consumption for a given motor in the industry. If you are maintaining the motor well, we can maintain the same no load consumption that is given by the OEM, motor OEM, we can maintain that. We cannot allow the industry to increase the no load power. It is not only on the motor, it is told in the transformer also. Transformer will have a loss, avoidable loss, and unavoidable loss. This avoidable loss is reducing the kVA for the given transformer, reducing the kVA demand for the given transformer is more important. Like that, it is not in the motor, it is not. See, if you take in the case of pumps, what is the no load consumption for the given pump, the tare load consumption, and what is it there for the given two pumps or parallel pumps or multiple pumps, batch pumps, where we are monitoring the no load consumption for the given this one when there is no load. As well, the compressor, you take the reciprocating compressor or the screw compressor, especially the screw compressor, air compressor, it takes almost 40% of the no load consumption, loaded consumption, no load. So the no load consumption is monitored to know whether the compressor is giving a effective performance in the process. Ultimately, what is the existing cell consumption for the given compressor? Next, please. Here, we are thinking on the macro view of the given application of the energy to the process and to the utility. What are the energy efficiency usage is very critical now. Electricity and LPG has the best usage efficiency as on today, especially in the usage of energy, almost around 60 and 60 around 60%. All this firewood or coal or charcoal or kerosene or this one, all the other energy inputs, their efficiency is quite less. That is why we go on the macro level for the given industry, whether we can go for an interfuel substitution, especially on the thermal side. And if it is not possible, the user friendly one is the electricity, which we give say for 860 kilocalories, how much almost 560 kilocalories is allowable to the is applied to the process. It can be applied to the process. The similar thing with the LPG. LPG is the world's cleanest fuel, domestic fuel, as well as for the industry, where you find almost 1 kg gives 12,500, almost say 12,000 kilocalories. You can utilize to the maximum, and the stoichiometric ratio for the given LPG, especially in the combustion, is excellent. This is where we are trying to see each and every energy input in terms of kilocalories. We are trying to universally make the kilocalorie input for the given process or in the utility and see what is the output given to the system industry. Next, please. So, in this energy conservation for the given industry, it is not only that the electrical department or the mechanical department is responsible for the energy conservation. The total industry, the production people, as well as the maintenance people, the electrical people and the maintenance, mechanical, as well as the quality. The industry management has to support the energy conservation to optimize the industry product output. This is where, as an energy auditor, if we enter the industry, we find lot of openings in the industry where you find the gaps between the electrical to mechanical, electrical to production, and production to mechanical, where the maintenance and the production, there is a gap because each and every department, they want to run their own show, and not, I don't say at the cost of others, but they want to run the show. At the same time, they give a second line of preference to the energy consumption. This is where the government has constituted the certified energy manager to be there in the company. It will definitely come in all the areas, all the sectors. The number of certified managers instead of electrical engineer or a mechanical engineer, they are going to grow more in the industry. We will be responsible for the energy consumption for the given utility or the process, as well as for the conservation also. This is where an energy manager is taking a limelight, or he is highlighted to the management, where he can reduce the energy cost for the given industry. Next, sir. If we find the energy auditor who is coming from outside, or the energy manager, or the existing the total productive maintenance people, what they can do is the origin of inefficiency starts from the utility machines. Let us say we will start in the utility machines, and then we will talk about the production machines. Especially in the utility machines, what are all the origin of energy efficiency and the symptoms of energy inefficiencies available in all the above machines? You can see the transformer, all the electrical distribution, all the compressor, all the pumps, fans and blowers, boilers, steam distribution, and HVA and CR. Heating, ventilation, air conditioning, and refrigeration. Refrigeration is more important to our India as such. Refrigeration aspects. So the transformers, what all we have been told, see some basic myths towards the transformer maintenance, transformer operation. Lot of changes are happening now. Thanks to the IS 1180, the latest standards in the transformers, it calls for the latest trends in the transformers calls for operating the transformer where the copper loss or the iron loss, where the no load loss and the load loss are on always equal. It comes between around 35 to 40% for the given transformer. Before, the industry was operating almost at 80% of the transformer load. Now, the transformer is very healthy if it is operated at the mid-range only. See, the loading of a given machine, it decides the efficiency of the machine also. This is where we are concentrating. Say, when you go as an energy auditor to the industry, what all the aspects we see is whether the machines are loaded correctly, whether they are underloaded or they are overloaded, or whether they are optimum loaded. Now, for the given transformer, what are the transformers we have in the industry is all 10 years, 20 years old, which is not capable to handle the K rating for the given transformer, or you can say the nonlinear loads from the loads, from the demanded process. A transformer is meant for a linear load application, and when we are using the nonlinear loads, the kVA variation is more in the transformer, the unbalance in current is more in the transformer. That is why we say we have to correct the power factor at the any of the linear loads at the load end only. At around, you have to try to maintain at the no load kVAr of the given load, say around 0.85 to 0.9. And if it is a non-linear load, let us say it's a VFD, we have H5 and H7 component of the THD is definitely going more. That has to be addressed to, and we can definitely address it in such a way that the line reactance choke automatically will house us the harmonics, not to spread or scatter to the adjoining or the adjacent equipments or to the incoming also. Coming to the electrical distribution, the transformers and the electrical distribution is part and parcel. What is the loss between the HT and LT we see in the transformer, and what is the distribution loss? Normally, when you see in the industry, let us say it's a 1000 kVA transformer, around 800 kVA, the industry is loading that. Almost 800 units per hour we are taking means, what is the breakup of consumption for all the loads that needs to be monitored? See, Bureau of Energy Efficiency says only one aspect. You monitor the energy consumption, definitely this should show an indication where you can target the reduction. Relative monitoring is the best way the management is thinking. They are committing themselves, monitor each and every equipment for the given batch of machines. Then comes the compressors. Definitely the compressors, yeah, the reciprocating compressor to the many of the industries have switched over to screw compressors. And the screw compressors, if they are operated between 60 to 80%, if the screw compressor is operated between 50% only, depending on the process load, automatically a VFD has to be retrofitted in the screw compressor to have more of energy savings to give the given output. If it is loaded more than 80%, the VFD may not be needed for a screw compressor also if the screw compressor is loaded fully near 90%. So the application of a VFD, the energy auditor has to give a delicate suggestion. Where do they need a VFD? Where do they not need a VFD? And what is the purpose of VFD for the given system? The loading decides the VFD retrofit for the given system. The same case it applies to the pumps, especially the centrifugal pumps. This we will go in depth. The variable torque loads, especially the centrifugal compressors, centrifugal blowers, centrifugal pumps, variable torque loads, any amount of reduction in RPM, that will give lot of energy savings. It applies to the fans and blowers also. Whether we have selected the right type of each and every discussion will be there in the next few sessions, where you will find on the pumps what is the efficiency can be done, and on the blowers. I am just giving a sum up of macro view of the given system, whether it is energy wise efficient. What does the nameplate say for the given blower or the pump, whether it is efficient? Are we operating the pumps at 50% efficiency or at 80% efficiency? Are we operating the blowers at, see, these are all the ranges. The blower OEM says I am giving an efficiency of 80%, but ultimately the blower is operating at 50% only. Same wise it is the boilers. Especially the package boilers, the losses are more. Where we always suggest as an energy auditor, the moisture separator installed at this outlet of the boiler will definitely reduce the water content in the steam. Or we can solve this, make the steam more dry. The dryness fraction in the steam has to be excellent. Almost it should be 95% dry, and that will maintain the thermal productivity for the given system. This will be applied to boiler and steam distribution. Then comes the HVAC. Next, please. We are, see, when we enter the industry, we just see a macro view of what is the load, whether it's a constant power load or it's a constant torque load or it's a constant variable torque load. So if it is a constant power load, we categorize the machines in such a way, these are all the back working we do as an energy audit. If it is a metal working machines or equipments where we find the saws, electric saws or the grinders or the machine tools, VFD is not suitable for this type of application, and it will not give power saving also. The power is always constant for any amount of speed, and the torque only initially it will be very high and it will start reducing when the speed is increasing. Next, please. Next, please. Variable torque load. This variable torque load is an excellent area for an energy auditor for the given industry, where the cube law or the affinity laws for the fans and blowers can be applied, and any amount of RPM reduction, say a 5% reduction in RPM by way of optimizing the revolutions per minute for the given equipment, definitely will give almost 14% of power consumption savings, power savings. See, a 10% reduction straight away gives 27%. So this is what we wanted to utilize in industry. You categorize the industry loads, what is constant torque loads and variable torque loads. Constant power loads, the frequency of constant power loads is very less in the industries. But the constant torque loads, more of the production machines are all constant torque loads, and more of the variable torque loads, it comes in the utilities and in some of the production machines also, where it is the case of blower or a centrifugal blower or a centrifugal fan or a axial flow fan. Also, it also follows the same law, affinity law, as well as the centrifugal compressor. Next, please. Coming to the motor survey recommendations, what does it say? Basically, any motor, I am just giving each and every motor or pump or blower, everything has been discussed in length in each of the sessions, but I am just giving a macro view where are the areas where we can attack on this energy conservation. Any motor which is running less than 50%, the energy or the efficiency is a very steep drop in the efficiency, especially when the motor is running less than 50%. So this is an area to be taken as highlighted. And if it is the motor is at 50 to 70%, it is very ideal. Above 70 to 100%, any motor can go to, any 75 to 100%, any motor can go to overload, because the motors also get derated because of the tropicalized climate and the ambient conditions. That also we have to keep in mind. And any motor which is above 100% loading, definitely that needs, I don't say replacement. Why the more is load is more, what is the points to be taken to reduce the load, and then if it is not possible, then we have to replace. This is a typical case for any of the screw compressors throughout India or even in the world. You will find the screw compressor is, see, we have seen some of the 75 kilowatt machines, almost 100 HP screw compressor. A 75 kilowatt motor compressor, it takes almost 95 to 100 kilowatt also. It is running at 1.2 service factor. That is not supposed to happen as such. See, these are all in this place, in some of the industries where we have done energy audit, we have suggested them to operate instead of a 75 kilowatt, you change over to 90 kilowatt compressor. Automatically, the industry said, sir, my motor breakdowns also reduced and my energy savings also be achieved. Any motor which is operated between 60 and 80 will definitely give a, there is the first point of energy. It is normalizing. We are normalizing the energy consumption for the given motors. If the motor is operating only at 30%, let us say, we can fit some of the retrofits. See, an energy auditor can give two types of solutions to the industry. We can give you a zero cost solution, fine tuning the process and equipments. If we can give a low cost solution, a typical example is an automatic Delstar. If it's a 100 HP motor, it is running at a 75 kilowatt motor. It is running at only at 20 kilowatt or 30 kilowatt, let us say. If I am putting an automatic Delstar, automatically the motor will be operated on, to start with, on star and deltas to start, and running on, instead of delta it will run on star. Automatically the power savings around 10 to 15% is achievable. This cost is only 10,000 rupees, where a motor cost is almost 1.5 lakhs. Instead of replacing the motor, we can just fit an automatic Delstar and we can do the energy savings. And these are, in case the variation is there, the loading variation is there from 20% to 80%, VFD is the excellent candidate. The only thing, it is costly, but VFD, in fact, I will suggest to each and every of, because you are academicians and you know better, in fact, you are all giving us a lot of inputs to the industry. I should say thank you to all, because this area VFD, we have to make the versatility of the VFD. We are yet to go through it. We have still not made the major use of the versatility of the VFD. The ramp up time and the ramp down time, and the slow starting and the fast starting, and matching to the process loop, like closed loop control of the given process with the master and slave control, all the aspects in the VFD, the flexibilities of the VFD, you can think of it and introduce in the industry. The industry will prosper when you give a lot of VFD based retrofit solutions. It is definitely giving a lot of energy savings as well. Next, please. A typical, I'm just starting with a blower, where a typical 75 HP, the old blower, you can see the first column, where the old blower, which is operating with a poor, inefficient impeller, VFD is operated, motor efficiency and the belts and pulleys, they have a loss of around 5 to 10%. And the fan efficiency is only 60%. Ultimately, the multiplication of the efficiencies will give the overall system efficiency is less than 50% only. The OEMs claim it's around 70 to 80%, but that is not happening here. If the same blower is replaced with a new backward curved inclined, that is near to airfoil type blower, along with an excellent VFD and the better IE3 motor, and going for a better resizing of belts and pulleys, and replacing the fan impeller from 60 to 70. Overall, it increases from almost from 50, it has increased to 63%. So 15 to 20% increase can be seen, not only in the case of blower, it can be applied to any of the systems. It can be in the case of pumps also. Replacing a monoblock pump with a multi-stage monoblock pump, it increases the efficiency by 20 to 25%. Replacing a monoblock pump with a open well submersible pump, depending on the process, when the NPSH is more important. NPSH means net positive suction head for the given pump is more important. This does a better job on this open well sub pump also. You have to see as a system efficiency, not the individual pump efficiency. We have to see the pump plus piping, and what is it on the suction and what is it on the delivery. Next, please. Coming to the fans, you will be surprised when you go to any of the HVAC segments. Yeah, many of the HVAC segments in all the IT or green buildings, they are operating with forward curved fans. The operating HP of motor is almost 40 HP. The fan HP, the power delivered at the fan HP is around 33. If it is an airfoil fan, you can see the difference. The brake horsepower at the fan end, it comes down. And if it is a plenum fan or a plug fan, the energy savings is almost 27% with belt driven. And if it is direct driven, you can see the direct driven and the belt driven, there is a subtle variation. So a belt driven mechanism has more of flexibility from the motor, from the prime mover to the user machine. That we wanted to make use of it. It will definitely have a slippage loss, but leave alone the slippage loss, how much maximum you can make use of the motor to power machine transmission as such. So this is applied to the HVAC segment, where you see when you go to the energy audit, we can suggest instead of forward curved fan, you can go for a reversed the backward curved centrifugal fan, or the best is the plug fan or the plenum fan, which is used especially on the HVAC segments, especially on the cleaner segments, like environment, it gives a savings of almost 20% energy savings. Next, please. As I said, the motor to machine transmission. The motor to machine transmission matters more. A motor is allowed, a 20 HP motor, 15 kilowatt motor is allowed to run at 1480 RPM. But you find a loss of almost 10 RPM per hour, per minute. At most, it goes to 600 RPM revolutions per hour, and it is almost, you can see for the day. The revolutions per minute monitoring, especially in an energy audit, is mandatory now, because we all assume that it is giving the motor is giving an excellent RPM, there is no slippage, there is no loss. But practically, having done more than 400 industries energy audit, we find that there is a heavy slippage loss wherever that is not maintained or monitored. The RPM slip is happening, and if it is a variable torque load, we have to optimize the speed. A blower or a fan spec is different. A VFD is a facilitator for the given blower to achieve the best efficiency point in the fan performance curve. I repeat again, this is a critical area which we can address it, because it is a combination of academicians plus the industry. Your college is doing an excellent job in lot of sugar and textile mills. Thanks to our Dr. Sanjay Kote. He used to tell us, Professor, he used to tell us how much of energy intra-industry interactions you are doing from the college. You concentrate on the basic measurements, especially on each and every machine. What all you can save on the prime movers is very less. It is only less than 20%. But what you can save, the possibility of saving in the machines is almost 80%. The losses, I am telling about the losses. For the given losses, 20% of the losses can be saved in the prime mover side, 80% of the losses can be saved in the production side only. We have to go for optimization. This is where we are concentrating here. Then comes the thermal imaging. The thermal imaging, the hotspot for a given system, it shows the energy flow, what I told in the first slide, the Sankey diagram. When there is a process flow or an energy flow, when there is an energy flow, if it is smooth, then the hotspot will not arise. When the energy flow is not smooth, when there is a stagnation, automatically we study by the Bernoulli's theorem, Q is equal to root of delta P. That delta P, the pressure drop across the HP and LP, on this upstream side and the downstream side, that will decide the flow is more, not the normal. Ultimately, hotspot on a given process, if it is measurable, definitely will show it is a symptom of inefficiency. This will correct by itself once we monitor that during our energy audit study. Next, please. RPM measurement, many people are still using the centrifugal tacho or this non-contact tacho. See, for this non-contact tacho, you have to switch off the machine to measure the RPM. Otherwise, you use the stroboscope type, it costs only around less than 20,000 only, but it is measurable on each and every, you just go to the, you give it to your the energy audit team person and ask him to just go within for 1 hour. He can measure all the, what is the motor speed, machine speed. In 1 hour, he can give for 30 or 40 machines he can measure at a time, it can come back. You don't need to switch off the machine, but you can measure it. It is LED operated. Let us not go for the xylem type, this one, pulses. You go for a LED operated, this one, stroboscope. It is a long lasting and it is a durable and it is a measurable. What is the deviation or what is the percentage loss in the slip that is happening in each and every machine and the motor. Next, please. As I was telling you, when you go to the industry, let us have a direct line of demarcation. What is constant torque loads? What is variable torque loads? Variable torque loads, it will give you a lot of energy savings. You concentrate on that. So many people think VFD, they are installing the VFD, but the industry is using the VFD only for variable speed application. When there is, they want to change the pulley ratio, they are just operating the VFD instead of 50 hertz, they are operating at 48 hertz or 46 hertz or 45 hertz. But that is not the purpose. We want to use the VFD for a better purpose. It has to give you a better operation and energy saving also. Next, please. A simple operation here for a given industry, this is there in our Bureau of Energy Efficiency bulletins and in our refresher guide also. This 2-inch reduction in the motor pulley, it gave almost 60% input kilowatt reduction. From a 8-inch motor pulley, this industry reduced to 6-inch. Automatically, it's a 50 HP motor. From 26 kilowatt, it came down to almost 11 kilowatt. This is on a centrifugal fan application. What is demanded by the process, that has to be given by the motor and the machine. That's all. This can be achieved when you go to the industry. You measure here we have to measure the motor and machine pulley sizes and the RPMs of the motor and machine. This gives lot of energy savings at a very low cost. A visible sign of a glossy looking dished out pulleys, we call it as a glossy looking pulley. It will look like a glass. It will be glittering, the pulleys. It is a loss to the industry. A pulley also has a life of only 40,000 hours. That has to be replaced, but the industry does not replace it. They think a machine manufacturer will say, sir, don't replace the pulley for parts for 10 years. 10 years means it goes to almost 80,000 hours. But the pulley has to be replaced every 40,000 hours, every 5 years. If this is replaced, they can restore the productivity, they can reduce the energy consumption also. Next, please. A typical example on a variable torque load, it's a blower, ID fan blower, ID fan for a boiler. Here the operation is very critical. The ID fan has to give an induced draft, static pressure critically, and it is maintained by doing these changes. In the motor and machine, especially on the pulley and belts, automatically this industry achieved almost 32%. You can see on the fifth line, the machine RPM is kept at 12,250 RPM at 50 Hertz before, and the same 1250 RPM was operated at 45 Hertz. Straight away 10% reduction in speed gave it almost around 30% reduction in the power. So this is possible with a better belting, optimized belting and optimized pulley ratios. Next, please. Next, sir.
Khade sir?
Yes, sir, I
next,
click
click
this
it.
next slide, but it is not visible.
Hello. I am sorry to disturb Mr. Kadekar. Yeah. One slide above. Yeah. One slide above. One slide above, please. Yeah. One slide before. Previous. Yeah. Just it's a image. This is the left side image is a typical motor and pulley combination in the given industry, and the right side is the cogged belting, where it gives a firm grip on the machine to motor, and definitely you can achieve power savings as well as the productivity improvements. Next, please. This has happened on a production machine on a sand mixer. After replacing the pulleys and belts, they are able to achieve almost 20% increase in production. That is not the increase in production. The production is restored to the capacity of the given machine. It is a sand mixer where the mixing of sand has to be homogeneous. The old machine, they are trying to replace the machine. It is costing more than 10 lakhs. They just spent only 10,000 rupees. After having spent 10,000 rupees, they achieved the same motor machine capacity, almost 20%. They are able to restore the machine capacity. It can happen to any of your energy audits, where all the process you go, where the belt coupled machines. This is an area, it's a low hanging fruit for the given energy auditor. Next, please. Coming to the compressor, see, you can compare the electrical and compressor. Electrical 400 volts means you can have a drop of 5 volt or 10 volt, either 390 volt or say 410 volt. This will be only the drop, and you may not have a lot of the voltage drops in between if it is the system is healthy and the infrastructure is healthy. But in the compressed air, we will be operating at 7 bar at the compressor. In some of the machines, it will go up to 3 bar or 4 bar also when some of the big machines are started. When some heavy energy loads are started, the pressure drops are very much more. This shows the system is not healthy. So you need two receivers at the compressor house, one for the wet receiver, other one is for the dry receiver. That is what the compressor OEM say. But we always say One receiver is meant for the pressure control, pressure load unload control, for the pressure demand control for the compressor, and the other receiver is meant for the suiting to the process demand. This receiver has to take care. We need a buffer receiver from the compressor to the process. Not only on the compressor house, we need a compressor air receiver at the feed forward at the given department and at the tail end. And if it is a cleaning application is there, you need definitely a separate receiver, so that the air fluctuations can be definitely be, the pulsations can be reduced as it. So one is the equipment loss, then comes the air treatment loss. The air treatment loss is more in many of the machines or many of the industries than the compressor loss as it. The system pressure drop is an indication where the pressure loss is happening, there the flow is more. It is due to leakage or it is due to the equipment consumption. Normally it comes due to leakage only. 50% in many of the industries they report, 30 to 50% it goes away by leakage only. The effective air usage in the given industry is only less than 50% only because of leakages and the abnormal or deviations in the usages. Next please. This condition monitoring as an energy auditor we can definitely do not only on the compressor, it can be done on any utility. Once you monitor the air receiver temperature, this should show the compressor is healthy. Compressor is an area compared to any other production machines. Compressor, many industry will have a more concentration because the air intake is taken from the outside. If the air intake variation is there in temperature and RH, that will definitely affect the compressor performance. The air receiver temperature should not be more than 5 degrees ambient centigrade more than the ambient temperature around. If it is going more, that shows the post air cooler is not healthy. Likewise, the automatic water drain at the compressor and the dryer and the receiver, that has to function because the compressed air line cannot afford to have even water droplets, water driplets, water this we call it as a micro water droplets should not be there on the compressed air line. You will find when you open the receivers, so much of buckets of water can be collected. If water is more in the compressed air line, then the pneumatic health of the process gets affected and lot of failures in the machines is happening. Thermal imaging of the compressor, it will definitely improve the compressor healthiness. And the sonic imaging is leak measurement in the process. It is measurable by ultrasonic means. This gives where all the leakages are happening and what is going to the process and what is going to leaks. This can be quantified and it can be corrected also as such. Next please. As I said before, yeah, 50% RH and 100% RH, we can say, or the 80% RH, you can see the RH is getting almost doubled. Daytime and nighttime, the RH is variation is there, the temperature variation is there, as well as in the summer and winter. All these variations will definitely affect the compressor performance. So we have to see the compressor performance based on the air intakes temperature and RH only. The compressor OEMs also give IS 1217 is the standards they follow. They also give for the given reference of say 20 degrees centigrade and then RH of 0, they give the FAD, free air delivery for the given compressor. And what is measured in the flow meter, the flow meter also has to be put in the line after the dry air receiver when it is going to the process only. It cannot be installed immediately next to the compressor. That will give wrong readings because it will measure more of moisture in the system. Next please. Compressor housekeeping. You see, again, I am just touching about the symptoms of energy loss that is happening in the industry. This is a point towards energy conservation. Once you go here in the industry, the ambient temperature is around 35 to 40, let us say. And once you enter the compressor house, if you find the temperature in the compressor house very much more, and you cannot stand in the compressor house for more than 10 minutes, it shows the RH is very dry and the temperature is very much more than 5 degrees or 7 degrees. This itself is a energy loss to the compressor at the generation itself. The compressor is drawing a higher temperature and automatically the generation loss is going more and more. In some places, the generation loss goes more than up to 10% also, because the filters get choked and the hot air that is getting out of the exhaust, that is again coming back to the suction as such. Next please. Coming to the roadside traffic, this is applied to the process also. What all the long bends that is there in the system, that will definitely improve the process flow smoothly. If there is a sharp bends, 70% friction loss goes more. The friction loss goes up by more than 70%. Normally, we call in any of the traffic junctions slow in and fast out. This is what we apply in the process also. The process variable has to enter slowly to the bend and has to come out fastly. If this is done in the compressor house and in the water piping and all the utilities, go for long bends and look for conjoining joints. This will reduce the end-to-end pressure drop or the flow drop, flow process. All the end-to-end energy losses can be controlled by having a proper piping layout in the industry. This is a point to note. Not immediately the industry will do it, but we can suggest to the industry where are the areas the bottlenecks are there in the industry. Next, please. A typical compressor, so 100 HP compressor, because the pressure sensor is put in the compressor itself and the water separator next to the compressor, it's almost choked. In the industry, it's a L&T industry where we have done it's a batch of 6 numbers of compressors. We have asked them to just replace the pressure, relocate the pressure control sensor from the compressor to the air receiver. Straight away, these fluctuations came down straight away, and the savings were almost 10%. Instead of 5,500 units per day, their consumption on the compressor side, it came down to 5,000 units. Straight away, 10% energy savings is done just by the relocation of the pressure control sensor from the compressor to the receiver. But this is what the integrator, system integrators also do when the VFD they are installing to the compressor, retrofit VFD to the compressor. They always try to locate the pressure sensor, control sensor on the receiver only, not on the compressor, because it gives a non-pulsating signal to the monitoring and control. Professor, can I extend it for another 15 minutes? Is it not a problem, no?
And yeah, you can extend up to 11:30, another 10-15 minutes. No issue.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Please.
Next, please. See, this is on the process and this is on the HVAC side. Normally, any of the building side, 50% it goes towards the HVAC systems. How and where this can be corrected as such? Next, please. We can see the move towards the air conditioning. Yeah, air circulation has to you can click one more. You can click one more. Kadir bhai? Yeah, okay. Thank you. Kadir sir, thank you. An air circulation consumes only 10 watts per meter squared, whereas an air conditioner consumes almost 200 watts per meter squared. You can see almost it is 20 times. So wherever you are possible in a given industry, if it's an IT based industry or it's a delicate industry where it's a sophisticated industry, you see to it that the air conditioning is put to minimum, increase the air circulation. Air circulation will increase the human comfort level also. We all need around 28 to 35 and around 50 is the RH for the human comfort level. And this is what we have to concentrate on the industry, especially on the HVAC side. Instead of air conditioning, we can substitute with the air cooling in some of the RH less areas. When the RH is better, the air circulation by way of fan, it gives a better job than the air conditioning. It's a combo effect of air conditioning and air circulation. Definitely the industry can improve in all the air washers, in all the air fresh air supply to the air conditioned plants in the industry. Next, please. Next, sir. Hello. Hello.
Thade sir.
Yes.
What is sir?
Next.
Sorry to disturb you.
Some network issue.
Some I think bandwidth issues there. It is not responding.
Okay. Yeah. This is where we find we call it as the Pareto principle, where the 20% of the consumers will affect the 80%. So especially on the air conditioning system, if you are able to concentrate on the fans, definitely this will improve the compressor cutting in, cutting out, the chiller compressor cutting in and cutting out. Similarly, in typical of any of this type of industries, a HVLS fan, it gives a wind chill effect, and automatically it sees to it that the comfort level for the given environment or the premises is made excellent by more of fresh air, at the same time recirculation and the wind chilling effect. This is a better proportion we always suggest to the industry after our energy audit. We replace all the small fans and go for this HVLS 20 feet fans. This gives an enormous energy savings, and the comfort level of the working people also, the workers also has improved. Next, please. This we have suggested to many of the industries where they go for attic ventilation, and where, in fact, when I went to Bangladesh for a World Bank study, we have come across so much of this. It's a 4 feet fan, 4 feet by 4 feet. This is used on all the attics and all the window level, still level they are fixing it. It gives very few static pressure. Pascal is very low, but it will give lakhs of CFM at few kilowatts only consumption, and this is able to maintain the supply air changes, supply to return air changes within the premises excellently well. We can think of it and we can suggest to the industry to remove the hot and stale air within the premises. Always the air needs to be recirculated in the industry. Next, please. In the air conditioner, what we suggest is replacing the air conditioner in one aspect. The other one is going for an aircon saver, which is operated on, it is a sensor based algorithm, dual sensor based algorithm. One is based on the ambient temperature and the other one is at the room temperature. This is an EEPROM based gadget microcontroller, which is used in many of the industries and all the banks and offices, where they achieve almost 20 to 30%. Many of the air conditioners are all oversized, or the size is more for the given premises or for the given application. Here this aircon saver gives almost 15 to 30% energy savings based on the application. It can be definitely be tried in all the building segment air conditioning. Next, please. What is sir? Inverters also is best definitely being used in the air conditioner. It is doing a better job more than a 5-star rated air conditioners. Coming to the energy auditing instruments and equipments, what are the things we need to measure in the process is one thing. One is your 3-phase power quality analyzer to measure up to 50th harmonic also, and a single phase clamp on meter and monitoring, especially for the clamp is more important. We cannot use a 600 amps clamp to measure a 10 amp this one monitoring. So a small clamp less than 200 amps, this will do a better job. The bottom one you can see the nano, this is nano whip, and it gives a better job, does a better job. And all this anemometer, especially this anemometer can be measured in air compressor also. It can be measured in air blowers. It can be measured in all the other places where the flow and the static pressure is more important. The static pressure can be measured by using this digital Pascal meter is available. That is also costing less than 10K only, but that is giving a lot of inputs to the industry, especially to the auditor, whether we are operating the process of the blower at the correct static pressure. Next, please. This is to be installed in all the industries where they measure the run hour, how many hours the machine is running and what is the kWh per machine it is taking up. And this is a measurable quantity. Ultimately, we know the units per hour. See, some of the machines can be running for 12 hours, some of the machines can be running for 18 hours. A machine is fitted with a run hour meter, it costs only 400 rupees, and a kWh meter. So you know what is the units per hour for the given machine, the loading for the given machine is known, and then we know whether the machine is loaded optimally. Next, please. This see, it can be used on all the LT services where it is a single clamp on CT only, with it costs only 10,000 or 15,000, and this can give lot of inputs to the industry to monitor the instantaneous parameters to the, especially to the bottom level electrician for the given industry. They can have multiples of these clamp on power meters instead of clamp on ammeters, because the industry talks about only amperes. If they talk about kilowatt, kVA, kVR and PF, they will definitely improve their electrical health in an excellent way as it. Next, please. Thermography predictive monitoring. This is an excellent tool, especially for the academicians to enter the industry, with which you can do a lot of miracles in the industry. This is going for micro level monitoring. This is going for macro level analysis. As well, the machine condition can be monitored. It is not only used on the electrical power prime movers like motors only. It can be used more in the process, and you can see the temperature gradient. You can see a motor also. What is the driven and non-driven temperature? What is the difference it has to be maintained? All these aspects can be studied using a single basic thermal imager. It is costing from 50,000 to almost 5 lakh. It is available. You choose your imager, and with this imager is a mandatory tool for an energy auditor to enter the industry itself. You can see on the transformer pole, or you can see on the sub pump also, both. Next, please. As I was telling, the driven and non-driven temperature, this is mattering more in the given industry, because when the bearing is not healthy, bearing is very hard, it is not, see, the fins are given to the motor only to dissipate the heat load, hot. But if it is not able to dissipate the heat, automatically the driven temperature is more than 20 degrees than the non-driven. It is a point of misalignment, it is a point of bearing getting bad, or it is a point of lubrication in the bearing is poor. All these things can be addressed. Next, please. Coming to water saving also is important for the given industry. You will be surprised why we are talking about as a Bureau of Energy Efficiency does not emphasize more on the water initially, but now many industries are initially, and even the government through this Jal Shakti ministry, we are giving emphasis on the water, especially because, see, let us say a cooling water pump is there. When the cycles of concentration, we call it a COC, when you are pumping more in the pump, ultimately it is a loss to the system. What you have to do, the pumping is only adequate and optimal for the given system. This will do the height transfer to the process. You will be surprised, 1 unit of electricity before the thermal stations were consuming almost 6 to 7 liters of water. Now it has the mandate says almost 2.5 to 3 liters of water only used to produce 1 unit of electricity, as far as the thermal station PAT norms goes as such. Like that, the aerators have been mandated by the government by the gazette. Instead of 10 liters per minute for the given nozzle, it consumes only 3 liters per minute. Next, please. Heat pump is an innovation especially happening in all the hospitality segment. I am just touching where all the energy conservation possible in different types of industries and different types of processes. You can see the consumption of the existing heat, that is a heater, almost it is 108 kilowatt. This consumes only 28 kilowatts. You can see the difference from the consumption is instead of 1560 units per day, it has come down to 770. Almost 50% energy savings is possible by using a heat pump, especially in applications, hot water applications. When the hot water application is needed for 70, say 50 to 60 degrees or 70 degrees, hot water, this heat pump is an excellent choice, retrofit. And see, solar water heating is the best because there is no consumption is there. Addition to that, that will be a preheating, and this will also be a parallel heat pump application where the energy efficiency in a heat pump is almost 50% or say 100% more compared to the electrical heater as such. Next, please. So in energy management, when you enter the industry, it is not only that you are studying for only 1 week. You have to study what is the energy management. They have bought the excellent energy efficient products, or they are used energy efficiently. Both are mattering to us more. Energy efficient equipment purchase is also important. Operating the equipment energy efficiently also 50% the equipment can be operated wrongly also. That will also give energy losses also. So whenever the safety fails, the conservation also fails, and safety first has to be optimized, have to be first has to be taken care. Always the industry or the equipment OEMs, they give more preference to the safety of their machines because they don't want to, during the AMC period, the machine should not fail. But safety should not override and cause the energy losses more to the system. We need to have safety as the undercover, but energy conservation has to be definitely be achieved on each and every machine that is possible. Next, please. Automation is a, on the given industry, the energy conservation is a byproduct of automation. You can definitely achieve energy conservation if you go for closed loop control systems. These closed loop control systems, which I was referring before, we can go for a cascader type control system or a master slave control system, or the different types of control systems is possible in the VFDs, cascading the VFDs. And definitely the process, the machine to machine prompting will definitely, the basic norms of the IoT, the machine to machine, they will prompt by themselves. This IoT will happen from machine to machine, and this will maintain automatically. The human interface is only to monitor whether they are monitoring or whether they are transferring their data healthily and affordably, and as well it is smoothly transferred, the data to data from the machine to machine. And the automation is very much a tool to productivity with less energy consumption only. Next please.
Sorry to interrupt. The Datar sir has joined actually. Next resource person has joined.
Excellent, sir.
Please.
2 minutes. I'm almost closing it, sir.
Okay.
Sir. So, as far as the industry is concerned, this energy audit will definitely give lot of pointers and directors towards cost competitiveness, towards cleaner environment, and to the protection of the natural resources in and around the industry as such. Next, please. So whenever doing the energy conservation measure, after energy auditing, I will suggest you visit the industry to follow what is the energy conservation measures done, whether it has increased the productivity or it has reduced the energy consumption. Both we have to study before and after, because the post energy conservation study only will make the energy auditor a permanent or a perfect energy auditor. The energy auditor's profession can be made perfect only if we are implementing or we are witnessing the implementation and we are actively involving the energy conservation measures. Next, please. So the management commitment is more wanted for the energy audit and energy conservation. The management support is there only, we can definitely do in the industry this energy conservation as well as the energy efficiency procedures as such. Next, please. 50,000 rupees per hour. When you lose an unit for 1 hour in a machine, it's almost 50,000 rupees at the present electricity rates. So wherever you are able to measure the energy first, then only we can manage it. Where it is measured, it gets focused by the management. Once it is focused, then it can be improved. And once it is improved, it gets recognized not only by the management, it is recognized by all the other segment in the industry. And once it is recognized, you share it to Bureau of Energy also, and you share it to our common platforms like this. It is only sharing the energy audit case studies, we can all become a win-win situation for all of us now. Next, please. Thank you for giving this opportunity. I'm sorry I just delayed it during the start. I think I have managed to deliver what I wanted to convey during this presentation. Thank you all. Thank you, Professor sir. Sanjay Kaur sir.
Participants
I
are
have
requested
completed. I am open to questions if it is there, or we can just message me. I will come to you later also, because the other resource person, yeah, prominent resource person, Dattarji has come, and it will be a treasure for you to listen to him as such.
Sir, it was very nice session, very informative. Even I appeal all the participants. These are the very two good books written by Ashok Sethuraman ji, and this total all the case studies are available in both the books, and one is dedicated to textile bill. So if anybody is interested, they can directly. It is available on online also. They can purchase from the online mode. I have purchased, and the books are very good, very informative, and very useful to all the industries. Sir, Sethuraman sir, thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Sanjay Kaur sir, thank you so much for giving this opportunity. And whatever the clarifications they need from the participants, they can definitely message me through you, sir. And definitely, I'm happy to respond to them. It's then now there is no time as it. Thank you, sir. Thank you all. Thank you all.
Even will share your cell number also, so that anytime
Please,
they can
sir.
communicate with you. Okay, please, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Khade sir.
Yes, sir. I thank Ashok Sethuraman sir for